Hi there, glad you can make it. Judging by your x-rays, you came in none too soon. You've got some nasty cavity mushi that we will have to deal with. Now, I must assure you that this procedure is completely safe, but we do have to go over your insurance and see what you're covered for. I see here that you're not covered for the use of strong language that might not be suitable for younger audiences. So I will have to advise listener discretion. This procedure will spoil all of the Dragon Dentist, and I need you to understand that before we can continue. You should have been keeping up with your daily maintenance and watching the anime, and any others that might come up during the process. And lastly, the opinions expressed here are those of the individual participants and do not reflect the Dub Talk podcast as a whole. I can recommend you for a second opinion. If you would just sign here and here, we'll get cracking. Hello one all, and welcome to Dub Talk, a special Summer at the Movies OVA episode. Because we had nothing else that we could be recording right now, and we needed something to fill a time slot. So it was myself, Jackson, and Megan.
Hi!
Coming in clutch in our time of need.
Yes.
Megan, before we continue, I need you to reach out your hand and hold this for me.
Okay.
Okay. And repeat after me.
Okay.
I wish.
I wish.
I wish.
I wish.
With all my heart.
With all my heart.
To fly with dragons.
To fly with dragons.
In a world apart.
In a world apart.
There we are. Now we are ready to talk about the Dragon Dentist.
There's a lot more guns than I remember from my childhood.
That's fine. The dragons are still safe, right?
Yeah, I think so.
They recover from that pretty easily. They've got great dental plan, and that's what matters.
Something that people in America don't have.
They're going to leave an immaculate corpse. How did we get here? This is an episode that I've been trying to get off the ground for some time now, but there's never quite been the right moment or time slot available. And then one just fell into our laps here, where we need to turn something around very quick, and we have a nice short 90-minute movie with like 10 cast members tops.
I think I have owned this for years on my shelf and just never sat down to watch it, and then I was like, alright, well I've wanted to watch this, might as well have a time.
Thank you for volunteering for this. So what's our backstory here? Some 10 years ago, Attack on Titan had just broke out into the mainstream, eyes were on Japan, a music video hits the internet, to set the stage, a psychosexual dream sequence. It was as if the guy from Rent-A-Girlfriend had gone through a bad breakup and stayed at home masturbating all day.
While on acid.
And more cannibalism.
Yeah.
So that went viral. And people found out that this music video called Me, Me, Me was part of a much bigger series of shorts from the Japan Animator Expo. A series of shorts made by Studio Khara, the Evangelion guys that left and broke off from Gainax, with the aim of kind of fostering young talent and trying out new ideas and experimenting, using Khara's resources and connections. I do recommend checking them out, but they are kind of all violent and horny like Me, Me, Me was. Because they can be. They don't have any TV standards to appeal to.
Just like the first time you saw Fairy Tail Dragon cry in theaters.
You know, sex and violence at Mach speed is one of these shorts, which should tell you everything you need to know. Hard to say how successful the experiment actually was, because I was looking around at some of those shorts to see if any of them had actually gone on to do more things, and it was really only people that were already established at Khara, for example, or the Gridman short, and this, because the guy that was behind the original idea for this, Otoru Meijo, went on to do It Invaded, so he wrote the script for that. Otherwise, when it comes to the dub for this, it was commissioned by NHK World, which is a super unique set of circumstances where they wanted it dubbed for their global broadcast, after which they would live stream it online from their website. And this is how I watched it when the dub first came out in 2017. I remember how badly the bitrate shit the bed during some certain sequences. But, I still remember it, and that's what matters. Oh, man. But how to explain this show? Because it's kind of like a high-concept fantasy.
About death.
about death and purgatory, a mix of 20th century technology and warfare and like restoration period Japan kind of setting. We'll see what the summary on the website gives us.
Yeah.
The story takes place in Dragon Country. Nonoko is a newly appointed dentist, and her mission is to protect the dragon, the guardian of the country, from tooth cavity bacteria. One day, amid increasingly fierce battles with the neighboring country, Nonoko finds on the dragon's tooth an unconscious boy soldier from the enemy country. His name is Bell, and he has been resurrected from inside the tooth by the dragon, a supernatural phenomenon that legend says occurs before a major disaster. As Nonoko and Bell go through a series of fierce battles, they eventually learn to accept their fate. This fantasy adventure, created on an unprecedentedly epic scale, will keep viewers thrilled and enraptured. Sounds very, very news copy.
Yeah.
Well, that sets us up for how we got here. Shall we just get right into it so we can...
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This dub was done by Salami Studios over in California.
I'm sorry, did you say salami?
Yeah, Salami. They're the guys that also did Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Oh, okay.
I know this was released by Sentai Filmworks, but they were not who NHK commissioned for the dub.
Yeah.
They've done Honey and Clover, Boosterankin, Zoid's Genesis, Monster.
Okay.
These kind of shows. They also share a lot of talent and, brain power. And I think this is because the studio layer broke off with Verite Entertainment, which is what the director eventually was the co-founder of.
I'm just kind of laughing that their studio name was Salami. You know, a little treat.
Yeah, Weekend has a little treat.
Yes.
A little dub as a treat.
Yes.
So this dub was directed by René Villiers, a very French name, and he founded a very French company named Verite. It was also directed with his partner Nico Garofalo. Also in here, we've got supposedly uncredited. I found at least one listing for this, and he works with Verite to this day, so I'm going to include Adonald Romain Lopez on scripting, as well as Julianne Taylor on scripting.
Okay.
As far as credentials, René Villiers was on all of those shows I mentioned before as either director or script adaptation. Nico has been more of an assistant director on titles such as Castlevania, the Netflix Castlevania Season 3, and some older stuff like MU Legend, which is a video game and a live-action show called Crimson Kiss. He's largely been a ADR engineer. Donald Lopez was script adaptation on all of those shows I mentioned for Salami before. Julianne Taylor has provided script adaptation for Maggie Adventure Sinbad, Bungo Stray Dogs Season 3, and several episodes of Tower of God.
Nice.
Would you like to start us off with how you feel about the directing?
Sure. No, I really liked the dub for this. It was very, very grounded, despite the fantasy aspects of a lot of things. There wasn't, like, a lot of over-the-top yelling, big dramatic speeches. It felt like it was grounded in the reality that was presented, which was, at points, it could be very anime, but a lot of points, it was a lot more somber than I was expecting from a show, where a dental pick turned into a whip sword at one point. Which is the single greatest thing in the show.
They have to get the action in there somehow. It's Gainax and Khara, they've got to get the action in there somehow.
And the action shots in this are really good. This is probably some of the best animated horses I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, speaking of experimenting and developing new tech, like this is 10 years ago when their CGI horses look great.
Yeah. Studio Mappa could have taken a horse lesson. But I think the thing that really excelled for me in the dub is that the writing felt really good, and that the actors who play our two main characters got to have their moments to really nail their characters. And I don't have a lot of complaints about this dub. I think everybody sounded really good. Okay, no, I have one complaint.
Sure.
And that is whoever decided that the clearly Japanese-looking military people needed to have Irish accents.
Yeah, I was really trying to place the accents on the yokels, on the people on the ground.
They were very much like...
in the script, yeah, like Scottish or Irish.
They sounded like a Staten Island wedding combination of your drunk Irish and Italian uncle.
Oh.
in that it was never really consistent on what one they chose, and I genuinely kind of questioned why it was done.
Yeah, I wonder if it was done because there's a lot of double casting in the incidental parts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's certain actors that you hear 4 times, I think.
Yeah, and I get it, because this isn't a very large or long production.
Yeah, like, I believe this was done union, or at least the studio is a SAG-AFTRA signatory, so could have very well just been session minimums.
Yeah. If you somehow manage to track this down to watch, because it's no longer streaming, and I don't know how extensive the Blu-rays are now, like, you can sit in an afternoon and watch both of this.
Yeah, it surprised me that this wasn't available anymore. We got the Blu-rays cheap from Sentai.
Yeah, thankfully, I'm pretty sure that they are still fairly dirt cheap with Sentai, because Sentai was always putting this on sale. But it was a fun time. Like, I really enjoyed the main 2 characters' performances. I think they were absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, and it was a nice surprise for me because I believe that this was the first time I had heard either of their acting back in 2017. So they were new actors to me at the time, given this big chance with some lead roles to sink their teeth into. There's a lot of great turns of phrase in the writing. I do think so they weren't going to ever hide the Japanese parts of this. It's very impossible. And they have direct Japanese influence because they have the Japanese company commissioning them directly. But I did think some of the Japanese ended up a bit uneven with, like, consistent pronunciation on some of the names. Like, the name of the dragon itself is a long, complicated string of Japanese for an actor to say.
Yeah.
They did try to keep the honorifics all in English. So there's a lot of senior and mister and big sis, which that's a thing to taste, right?
Yeah.
So it's fine, it's whatever. Mushi is a proper noun that comes up a lot in this. We've both seen Mushishi.
Yes.
So we're totally familiar with that, and that's not a problem.
Yeah, Mushishi is a very fondly loved series, I think, for a couple of us on the show, on the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it gives the monsters in this show this proper otherworldly feel. Yeah, no, a lot to like with this dub. Just a couple of little, like, this must have been turned around pretty fast. Mm-hmm. And there was some decision makings that ended up in the final product.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. Wasting no time, let's move on to our characters. We've only got like 8. We can blast through all of these like right in a row.
Very quickly.
Yeah. So for our Dragon Dentist, we have the peanut gallery of Shuzo Sato, Kane Arisugawa, and Satosu Iemaru, who are played by Keith Silverstein, Celeste Henderson, and Chris Smith, respectively. Our more prominent Dragon Dentists that are getting some meat to do are Shibana and Senior Godo, who are played by Laura Post and Taylor Henry, respectively. Our ostensible villain and big bad for this is Blanco?
Yeah, the unkillable Blanco. Until the end.
Salvatore Bronco, played by Kirk Thornton. And our 2 leads are Belle and Nonoko, played by Xander Mobus and Xanthi Wynn.
Double X Squad.
Yeah. Look at them getting paired up like that. Keith Silverstein, we know for Char Aznavour in the modern Gundam dubs, many a Shonen Jump villain. Hisoka. He plays Obama in Mr. Osamatsu.
Obama!
And Yami, obviously. Celeste Henderson was in Scarlet Nexus. She plays Haruka Fraser, but she's also in Fire Emblem as Hilda Valentine Gonreal.
Oh, okay.
Hilda.
Shout out to our buddy Josh. He knows what's up.
Yeah. Taylor Henry, of course, has a lot of other Fire Emblem characters, and heroes especially. Rudolph, Zephyl, Hawkeye, Varian, Nemesis. He was in Brand New Animal as Giuliano. Megalobox's Fujimaki, the Count of Monte Cristo, and the Count of Monte Cristo. Great old actor. Kirk Thornton was Igor in Persona, Gabumon in Digimon, Shiro Fujimoto in Blue Exorcist, Guile, Don Patch in Bobobo.
Gabumon and Shiro Fujimoto both died for your sins.
God damn it.
Remember the true reason for the season.
Chris Smith was Spandam in One Piece, Kitan in Gurren Lagann, Kite in Hunter x Hunter, Haru's dad in Persona 5. Just, a real cream of the crop there. So many great individuals. Laura Post as Shibana is everyone's favorite mom. World's best mom, Ragyu Kiryuin in Kill la Kill.
God damn it!
Kasami Yoshizawa in Persona 5, Eiko Shimao in Millennium Actress, and Cynthia in The Great Pretender. Right now, the other Persona 5 characters is Xander Mobus as the protagonist, and Xanthi Wynn as Haru. I think this was recorded around the same time.
If you're a Joker X Haru shipper, this is the dub for you.
Xanthi obviously also played Anohana, Meima, Nazuna from Brand New Animal as well, Biwa in the Heike story, the Platelets in Cells at Work, and Xander Mobus was P5 protagonist, Darby the Younger in JoJo's, and Toto in Jujutsu Kaisen.
Everyone's favorite bro.
I've just finished season 2 finally, and that was a very fun sequence.
I'm not a huge JJK fan, so the last thing I watched Xander Mobus in, he was shown as Butthole.
I don't need context.
You know what? You kids can Google it on your own. So yeah, I don't have really much to say about the first 3 set of characters. Though Keith Sky is very much like the young hotshot dude, and he's the first one to die.
Imagine that. Whoops, Daisy.
Oopsies. And I genuinely like that's how you figure out the deal with the Dragon Dentist, because they are kind of a little bit weird.
Yeah, we've got this, what'd you describe it as, weird purgatory stuff?
Yeah, weird purgatory shit. I love, media with, specifically Japanese media that, talks about death, and, the different ways they see people, reincarnating and, dying, and, what they leave behind. I find that stuff infinitely fascinating. So, my favorite parts about this movie were all the stuff to deal with that and less of the war shit. I liked all the weird purgatory crap.
We are of one mind on this. I also enjoy the weird death stuff.
Yeah, there's some stuff in there, and the only way I can describe it as, in the last 2 weeks, if I had a nickel for every time I watched a really awkward makeout sequence, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice.
Again, they don't have to show us on TV, so they can get a little wacky with it.
Yeah, they didn't show The Mummy 2 on TV, and that bitch did not need to make out with mummified Imhotep, but they did it anyway. That was, the worst part about watching The Mummy 2, was just that sequence. Was just why are you doing that?
Worse than the CGI rock.
Okay, that's on another level of shit.
That's special. That's forgivable. We enjoy that.
The CGI rock can be laughed at and enjoyed. Watching a woman make out with Imhotep while he's falling apart is no bueno even for the monster fucker.
I hate sand. It's coarse and gets everywhere, and now it's in my mouth.
I'm glad that it's only in her mouth and not other places.
Bring a towel, is what we're saying.
Yeah. I'm going to hell. But...
Yeah, I like Keith's guy. He's got, a bit of a hotshot head on his shoulders, short on patience with the other younger kids.
With Belle specifically.
Yeah. It is interesting that once the big threat shows up and he knows he's about to die, his whole demeanor changes. He's just like, okay, we're doing this. It's time.
He's like, oh, so this is how I die.
What a rush. This is what it means to be alive. He starts acting like a thrill junkie. He's
YOLOing a little too close to the sun.
Well, you do only get to do that once.
Yeah, so he's a lot of fun. And then, who were the other 2 that we're talking about who are kind of the more minor?
Yeah, of the other Dragon Dentists, we have the old guy who's got the crab hammer staff looking thing. He's really only there because he goes lucky guy towards the beginning.
Yeah, and then he gets kicked in the leg.
He's some smarty pants kid. It's him and Celeste's character that are kind of just a peanut gallery. The Akane's a little bit interesting in that she's just kind of this archetype that's the disaffected teenager of the group that's just a little bit older. So she's all skeptical and you can hear like the audible eye rolls in her voice.
Yeah, she is the precursor to Hilda.
She gets some odd lines like worst trouble ever, are showing about the like speed that this dub was produced with.
Yeah.
Some lines that could have used in their take. Overall, fine.
Yeah, I liked her design a lot, too.
Yeah, the design is great.
And she, has the greatest thing ever, the whip sword.
Yeah, it's like the Falchion in Fire Emblem, Three Houses.
The Falchion is, Awakening.
Right. I assume it's called the Falchion in every game.
No, it's the Sword of the Creator. That's what it is in, Three Houses. It's Sword of the Creator. It's the Falchion, the Corn Sword, and the Sword of the Creator. I refuse to call the Fates one anything but the Corn Sword. Because it looks like a corn cob.
Yeah, so she gets the coolest weapon, is what we're saying.
Yeah, whip swords.
Yeah, no, those three are just kind of the peanut gallery, and then one of them dies, and that furthers the story. It's very cool.
Yeah, that's where we learn about the whole thing. To which, I love the way that the dragon dentists come to be, in that they have to... Because apparently, in this world, people can be reborn from the dragon's teeth, and when they die, they go through the dragon's teeth, like purgatory. And to become a dragon dentist is to go into the teeth and face your own death and come out. Because you were like, oh, well, okay. And you didn't fight to change your fate.
I have accepted that I'm going to die one day, and this is how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's very, like, reaching nirvana. It's a very, like, Buddhist attitude towards letting go of earthly desires.
Yeah, because the dentists live it feels like very, like, Buddhist Shinto life, where they purify their body before they go out and clean their temple. There's, like, a big shrine that they keep the wisdom tooth of the dragon in, which prevents them from being killed by outside forces. If they die, it is through what the dragon deems them to.
They mention how the dragon can't come in contact with the earth.
Yeah. And if it does, the tooth explodes, and then it just becomes a smaller tooth, and then they just, plug it back in the hole, like, like normal dentistry shit. And, then giant, like, demon plaque comes out and tries to kill you.
Yeah, it was giving the dragon a big old toothache. It is the dragon's one point of weakness that enemies can try to exploit, and that the dentists care for. It's a little vague on what the actual contract is, but the dragon has a contract with the humans of a certain nation, and the dentists are tasked with taking care of the dragon and honoring that contract. And the one way that the dragon can be hurt is through the stress and accumulation of human emotion as it passes through its teeth and gives it cavities.
Normal shit.
High concept, weird old, weird purgatory shit.
Yeah, I genuinely love media like this, and God, I wish that, like, somebody would have, like, picked this up like Breadman and made this, like, a full series, too, because I would have watched the shit out of it.
Yeah, I don't know if it has a huge leg to stand on this idea, but, like, 90 minutes feels like a good amount.
Yeah.
There is definitely a lot that's left vague on purpose, or just left hanging.
Yeah.
Like, we can get into the next guy, which is Bronco. He's, like, up on all of the Dragon lore shit, and he's trying to tear it all down.
Yeah.
He's got some weird... Like, people say that he might be blessed by the dragon.
Yeah, because he just doesn't die.
He is undying. He is invincible. They mostly demonstrate this by... You try to shoot him, and you suddenly have Stormtrooper aim.
Yeah.
You cannot possibly hit him.
He is just this being of, like, ultimate malice, and Kurt plays him as, like, very dry and very matter-of-fact about everything, and how he just does not care about anything other than the thing in front of him.
He's playing it like a pro, just, ooh, what you got there? Is that a dragon's tooth? Why don't you hand that over to me? It's real good.
And, like, you're not gonna shoot. If you shoot the gun, it's gonna explode.
The part where he actually cuts Bell down the first time, where he's just like, try not to scream, is cold as ice. And then Xander's just, his muffled screams as they are actually just slitting his throat. Chilling stuff. It's real good.
Oh, yeah. the fact that he is just willing to leave people behind because they're not either bowing to him or he believes them to be weak. And then I genuinely love his comeuppance in the end.
Yeah, no respect for the dragon or any of this sacred crap. He guns down monks on sacred ground, is the kind of character that we're dealing with. And he seems like this unkillable Terminator. But what's happened in the course of the climax is a giant cavity mushi has exploded from the dragon. Its tendrils are reaching out everywhere. It's going down to the battlefield below where war is in progress. And it is saying, no, ceasefire now. Put your guns down, or you're getting beheaded. And I'm just going to snap up all your little heads. And Bell is able to concoct a situation where Bronco is pointing a gun at him and
kills him.
Yeah, fires a shot, and the cavity dragon's like, oop, spot smells there. Yoink. I'll take your head too, buddy.
So when the second episode was called Massacre, I assumed it was going to be the future that Nanako saw for herself towards the end of episode 1, where she dies at the hands of a soldier around her age who has killed her, killed all the dentists, and killed the dragon. I did not expect, skibbity-doo, your head is now glue. And everybody was playing the French Revolution.
It would be horrifying if it weren't like a little bit comedic. Like if they weren't playing the popping sound effect as each of the heads goes pop, 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 pop.
And let the bodies hit the floor, and Bell is just like, wait, everybody who's not fighting is alive. Oh. So he figures it out, and I think the thing that also really sells me on Kirk's performance is when he kills the guy who's been helping him the whole time.
Yeah, loyalty? We don't have any of that here.
Fuck that shit. And speaking of older gentlemen, I really liked
Taylor
as Mr. Toto. No, not Mr. Toto wasn't his name.
Godo.
Right. He was very matter-of-fact and laid back, and the only times you really saw him get angry is when Shibana, starts doing her evil shit. But
yeah.
he's the first person who's like, alright, this kid's a dentist now, and...
Yeah, he has a very what will be attitude towards things. It's like, I'm a dragon dentist, I'm going to do my dragon dentist duties. This kid, he came out of the tooth, he's a dragon dentist now, so he's with us. He may have been an enemy soldier in his previous life, but that's over now. He's one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a great classic voice.
He feels very much like a giant cosmic hippie. A cosmic hippie and kind of a death cult.
Yeah, it's like, in the backstory, he sends like a dozen guys into the teeth, including Nonoko, and she's the only one that makes it out. And she's like, oh, well, that's neat. You get to join us now.
Oh, the other guys in there fought back against the Destiny. Guess they weren't cut out for it.
It is interesting that, like, he has no disrespect or malice towards the guys that fought against fate and didn't come back out of the teeth. They just weren't cut out for that job, and they maybe shouldn't have gone in, but they were, quote-unquote, the brave ones.
Yes. They heard, hey, you can do this, and this is a test, but you might die. But if you make it out, welcome to the business. And I think it's so good that it contrasts against Laura Post as Shibana, who carries such a different viewpoint and such an anger to her.
They both survived a tragedy 12 years ago and came to completely different conclusions.
Mm-hmm. So, in a way, for Godo, it was, so this is what fate looks like. They would have both have gone through the same test to see their own deaths. And what Godo took from it in the performance that is given is very I accept the fate that I have, but it doesn't mean I cannot enjoy the life that is in front of me. Where Laura Post has to put on this act until she snaps and shows because she wants the one thing that the dragon can do, and that's to bring someone back to life, even if it is by force. And one of my favorite sequences, even though it includes the awful gross make-out tongue stuff, you can tell this is the thing where Me came from.
Yeah.
Is her going into the tooth and to the picture of
Mr. Takemoto.
Yeah, Mr. Takemoto, who she was in love with and engaged to. And her realizing that she can't bring him back is what causes the giant Mushi to, start lopping heads off. Even though that scene doesn't have a lot of talking, you can hear it in her, reaction times.
Yeah, I really do love that, where the photograph is frozen in time, and she's desperately trying to get him to come back out. Her acting through the mouth noises.
And even back then, Laura Post was killing it as mortally ambiguous older sister parental figures.
If evil, why hot?
Yeah.
Never mind that she's half bug now. If evil, why hot?
I mean, as you, as a VTuber person, should
and
know...
you as the resident monster fucker, yes. We are agreement on this.
We are coming together in hands, shaking our hands over the fact that there are a lot of people out there who would want to get a titty fuck from a cockroach woman.
You were hiding that tooth in your mouth this whole time. Yeah, and you probably touched it with your tongue.
Yeah.
That line's been sticking in my head since I've seen this show.
Let's be real. Matara Khan exists.
Mm-hmm.
There's a market for this.
Yeah, she has Jiggly Chitin.
Yeah, so people would, shit's fine. It's good. Everyone's gonna be okay. People can find morally ambiguous dental cavities hot. She got the head crab experience. I'm sorry, every time I think I can't say anything like head crabs. Because all I think about is it is time to face my destiny. Half-life, full life consequences. You are head crab officer. I'm sorry. Every year, my friend does a terrible fanfiction dramatic reading panel. Hi, Liza. I know you probably won't watch this. I might send this to you now. In which she reads that and gets people to dramatically act it out on stage, and it is some of the funniest shit you'll ever see in your life. But Laura Post is great, and I like that even when she's being evil, she's still nice to Nanako in a sense.
Yeah, No More Dentists went through my mind the same way No More Mutants does. She doesn't hold ill will towards the people that she actually, her friends and family that are fellow dentists. In this, she just can't accept that their fates are on a track and are predetermined, and she needs to fight against it, and the only way that she can think to do that is destroy the dragon. Then there'll be no more dragon dentists. Win-win.
And nobody else will have to die.
Still ends on, make your big sis proud. And I won't give up. I will bring him back.
Yes.
Is how she flies off into the night on this. And even the movie agrees. She's a horrible bug monster, but she's beautiful as she flies away.
Do you watch, have you ever watched Tom Fox stream before?
I watched some of the stuff that you've shared of Tom Fox.
So, back when Scarlet and Violet were kind of the Pokemon game. No, not Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield. They were trying to shiny hunt Pheromosa, another fuckable bug. And I think it was him and his friend Jeremy, who goes by Duly Noted Gaming. And they made up this character who was in love with Pheromosa and just called him Billy Bugfucker. And I don't know why Billy Bugfucker popped into my brain right now about her flying.
There was also a really good moment early on before any of the betrayal stuff went down with Laura, where she's helping Belle through his first real conflict of, you gotta decide to live. You gotta decide that you want this. You didn't ask for this. And it made me think of a recent episode with Team 4-Star commentaries where Taka's going, life is funny. Life is comedy. You didn't exist. Now you do. You've got anxiety and you had no say in the matter. And that's hilarious.
I don't think you use TikTok as much as, a couple of us do, but one of the popular sounds right now is, I think, an old Boondock quip. It's like, God wants me to kill myself. That's why he's fucking with me. And, like, that's kind of the thing that popped in my head in response to it.
God gives his silliest battles to his strongest clowns.
Yeah, that's what we're called, people with IBS. Oh.
Oh.
So
and that brings us to our leads, doesn't it?
Yeah, Belle and Nanako. I absolutely love them. I think they're the two best performances in the movie.
Yeah, quite easily, quite handily, I would agree. They both get, yeah, as you mentioned earlier, a moment to shine, which is really just my catnip. You give a actor a like extended internal monologue and just let them go, and I eat that shit up. I love it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like with Nanako, that's where the original short was coming from, was her being chosen as a dragon dentist.
Ah, yeah.
And yeah, it is really fascinating, her perspective on coming back out of that. It's like, oh, so this young soldier is the person that's going to kill me. And she has a conversation with him. It's like, oh, you're kind of attractive, aren't you? I'm glad I get to be
I get to die at your hands.
And he's like, I'm glad I get to be the one to kill you. And he actually does go on to say some kind of cruel things about, like, I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill all your friends, and I'm going to kill that dragon. Nothing personal. This is war, though.
And she's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a very, like, non-judgmental, not moralistic view on conflict and wars. Like, this is a thing that we're doing to each other. It's not personal, you versus me. It's, we both have our own reasons for being here, and both of our fates have led us here. Your time to die.
And she just accepts it. And her monologue comes to her telling her origin story to Belle.
Yeah, she's trying to comfort him after Shizo dies.
Yeah.
And how this happens to every dragon dentist.
Yeah, and she's like, I was just a maid at an inn, and everybody else is doing it, and then I heard I could eat all the rice I wanted, and I just did it, because I wanted that.
I do love that she has a very simple motivation, which is just, I'm going to eat good food every day.
And I don't care if I have to die to live, because that's what brings me joy. This is the thing that gives me purpose. And I like that she is very simple. She's not stupid, she's just simple, and has a big heart. Because for her, I guess it is a very kind of Buddhist thing, where she doesn't really have a lot of worldly possessions. She just wants to eat rice. She doesn't have anything that she's coveting, and even in the end, when Belle dies, she doesn't really seem to mourn him.
Yeah, she's not, in the ending, she's not even aware that he's gone yet.
Yeah, she's looking for him, and it ends kind of on that, and I think the other moment that really gets me is the one time that they do fight with each other, which is about, she always will fight him on when he's like, I'm not a dentist. She's like, no, but you are. And I kind of have my own theories on what Belle represents, but Xanthi's performance is so, I think that mixture of what makes her best is that Xanthi, for a while, was known for playing a lot of these very soft, meek, soft-spoken characters, but at the same time, she has the ability to do such, like, high energy and older, more mature-sounding characters. I still stand by the dragon. Another thing with dragons, the dragon pilots being one of my favorite performances of hers. Mm. And I like how her performance clashes against Xander's Belle, who is a lot more emotional. He has a lot more trauma based on the fact that, you know, he dies twice, in a sense. The first time is very traumatic, and the second time he's very much accepting that this is his fate and what he does to the dragon. And Xander kind of gets to go all over the place, and one of my favorite kind of lines in the series is when she says that his hair looks like golden rice in the, like, setting sun, and he's like, huh? And it's kind of that very young teenage romance thing, but it's between two people who have very different views on life, and I know you're probably going to talk more about Xander's in a monologue than I am.
Yeah. Now, there was a good, like, that scene in context was, like, just Xander mumbling about whatever dumb shit, like, do you care that the innkeepers think that we're a couple? Mm-hmm. That kind of thing. And she's just letting him go off, and then he mentions, what did you say about my hair before? And that's what gets her to respond back. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. And he makes, like, a little note of, hold on, Rice fields in the rain. Isn't that how you described what your coming brink would be? What your eventual death would be?
Mm-hmm.
So it's connected back to this beautiful scene, or a scene that she thinks is beautiful, which is her eventual death. It's the same hair color as the person that's eventually going to kill her. And yeah, she just connects back to that in the present and has no ill will towards any of this. She's enthralled by it.
Oh, 100%. And before Xander's big monologue, he also has this one where he's facing down Kirk's character, and Kirk's like, "Don't you know you're a coward?" And I think it's internally, he goes, "Yeah, I've already accepted that."
Yeah, he doesn't need to shoot to win what he wants.
Yeah, pretty much. You want to go ahead, because I know this is... Yeah. When you DM'd me, I wanted to make somebody watch this for the last 5 minutes.
Pretty well. I've suggested this every summer at the movies, and it has been basically entirely on the strength of the last 5 minutes and Xander's dying speech. It's just a thing of beauty. He's describing what his body's going through, that his chest is filling with blood. And he goes back to his last near-death experience, which was alluded to a little bit, because he makes an offhand comment of, "I know how to ride a horse."
Yeah.
But as a young child, he is riding a horse through the garden. None of his servants are watching him. He rides it through a pond, and just as he's getting through the deepest part, the horse kicks him off. His trusted companion, through thick and thin, kicks him off as easily as it was swatting a fly. And he starts drowning in the water, his lungs filling with water. He describes watching the horse swim to shore. It's this beautiful thing that has just condemned him to death. It's a beautiful, unjudgmental, this is what's going to happen to me. He describes eventually a servant does find him. He doesn't even remember his face or his name anymore. His sister never let him live down that moment. Through the show, he finds motivation to be a dragon dentist, to help guide souls through the teeth as he had come out of the teeth. And he's like, I would like to lessen the burden on the dragon somehow, in any way that I can. But he knows that I'm going to cause the dragon pain with my emotions as I die. I'm going to pass through as a cavity mushi. These are going to be the things that happen. He thinks back to Nanako in his last moments. It was like, will she laugh if she hears me through the dragon's teeth? Will she take notice, or will she ignore it and go on with her day? And probably one of the weirdest, and sweetest moments in the show is when I think of you, my chest fills up with something other than blood.
Yeah.
So that's an incredibly romantic sentiment. Also a little bit weird. We take that with this show. Yeah, probably an all-time timer for Xander. But like I was saying, it is catnip for me. I will eat it up every time.
Mau
This is exactly what I want.
Mau drinking her poison.
Delicious.
Yeah, I absolutely adored that scene. And my thing was, I think it is, hate saying this phrase, open to interpretation as to who the horse was. Was it the dragon, or was it Nanako? Because Nanako was as fickle as that. And for me, and then after that whole thing, you see the boy that would have killed Nanako sitting up in the field and...
Yeah, emerging from the carnage.
Yeah. So was Bell reborn to save Nanako as much as Nanako saved him? Where he altered her fate and he took the death for her, but in a sense, he needed to meet Nanako to accept that death is a part of life and that it is not inherently malicious, it is something that will happen to you. And even if it is painful and awful and you do not believe that it is time to go, that you are going to have to go through the dragon's teeth, and your death will cause someone pain. But there are going to be people who either hear you and remember you fondly, or will not care at all, and there is no inherent evil to that. Man, this was really good.
It's asking some big, deep questions. Not providing a lot of answers, but
but asking them.
Just some great things to chew on. with your big dragon teeth.
Nom, 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 nom.
As far as how he starts in the first episode as well, he's like, I really do like that first interaction as well of you have to decide. Will you live or will you die? You've got two choices in front of you. You've got food in this rice bowl, or you've got this knife to kill yourself again with. And he does choose to live and fight on, is just overcome with emotion in that moment. Lets all of his trauma fall out. He is at his lowest. He's been betrayed by his men, murdered, captured by the enemy now, and taken hostage, he feels like, by the dragon dentist.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he spends the rest of the story fighting back against fate a lot of the time, or choosing to live until he chooses to give his life.
Mm-hmm.
What more is there to say about this, Dub? Final thoughts.
That it's not flawless and it's very good, but there are some mildly questionable things in it.
Yeah, it's a beautifully quick 90 minutes that is exploring some interesting ideas. I think accomplishing the original goals set out, explore some ideas, get some weird thoughts out there. Let's make this cool looking dragon CG model.
Yeah. Test out those horses.
Yeah, let's have a horse chase a plane like the end of Toy Story 2. We can do that. No one can stop us. Yeah, a hearty recommend from me.
Yeah, I would recommend this if you can somehow get a hold of it.
I think secondhand DVDs from Sentai are going to be the option now.
Yeah, because I didn't see it on their site.
Yeah, it's not on high def anymore. I think it was on Crunchyroll at some point, but not in dub.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're the Dub Talk podcast. We're going to get out of here shortly. You can follow us on Twitter, Blue Sky. I'm going to say all the social media, and then you'll tell me that we don't have an Instagram or a TikTok.
I don't know. I'm not gonna. Bring a burr.
Watch us on YouTube. Watch us on anywhere that fine podcasts are sold. We've got the RSS feed. It will work with any old app you've got. Coming up shortly, because this is Summer at the Movies OVA, is Summer at the Movies proper. So please look forward to that in the coming weeks.
Yes, we have some other people to thank too.
Right, our Patreons, of course, which I have not even looked at or pulled up.
Do you mind me reading them off for you?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. We have our $5 Patreons, Marissa Lenti, Michelle Travis, and my parents. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for the cash. I promise we're not using it for drugs. And our $10 Patreons, Anthony Brown, Carly Lusticow, Crimson Akinda, Kimwa Soup, and Otaku Anthony.
And where can people find you, Megan?
You can find me on Twitter at QueenEra2. I have Blue Sky, I think, under the same name as well. I'm just really lazy about updating it, so...
I'm Jackson. 9claw Tiger on Twitter is probably going to be the best spot for me. I'm hanging out on Discord mostly. I will throw you a VTuber recommendation since the last time I've been on here, which was Rin Penrose is the person I've been watching most lately. Got real big on shorts, explaining all that there is to do about being a VTuber and answering all sorts of questions. And she's also a asexual prince, which is very cool.
Yeah, I'm not a big VTuber person, but I do watch a lot of Tom Fox, so you should always go check him out. He's a fun variety streamer. Sometimes he's in the FleshTuber, sometimes he's in the VTuber wizard form, and he is the first VTuber I bought VTuber merch of. I bought his plushie from Makeshift, so I'm very excited. He is not the first YouTuber I bought a plush for. I bought one of Blue Jays. If you've never seen Blue Jay before, he is a very fun historical YouTuber who probably made one of my favorite YouTube videos of all time about the worst Russian Navy.
This is how it starts.
I will say this though, if you ever want to see the best plushie announcement video of all time, Blue Jays is like one of the fucking funniest things you'll ever see. But yeah, no, thank you for making me watch this, Jackson.
Thank you for jumping aboard the dragon with me.
Yes, I'm very... And my cat has just jumped out of her sleeping hole, like, right now as we finish.
Now let's climb aboard our dragon friends. And I don't know the rest of the lyrics.
Dragon Tales, Dragon Tales. Something, something, Dragon Tales.
Off on a magic carpet ride.
Whee!
Goodbye, everybody.
Good night.